NTA Video app, no access to real-time information.
No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. It doesn't matter who you are. Put Nigerian first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding.
No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
The countdown has begun. A few hours from now, more countries of the world will welcome a brand new year. 2022 will become history, but not forgotten in a hurry, as the world emerged from the devastation of the COVID-19 pandemic, with new normal offering immense possibilities and opportunities. Looking back, many factors and events helped shape 2022, largely from the economic, political, and social sense, defining the nation's life at the level of governance, private and public sector, as well as individual level. Now, some of these events will define 2023, especially the economy, which shows a better economic outlook. As one of the largest gross domestic products in Africa, GDP stood at 45.3 trillion naira in the third quarter of 2022. With the 2023 general elections just around the corner, the campaign will reach fever pitch in January and February, a critical time in the nation's history, as whoever becomes president on May 29th, 2023 will determine how the economy performs. Candidates will canvass the votes of an estimated 94 million voters, 13% first-time voters witnessing a generational shift. It will also be a test of electronic voting and transmission of results as demanded by the Electoral Act 2022. Now, what are the emerging opportunities and prospects in the political and economic sense? How will Nigeria leverage investment as Europe looks beyond Russia to become an attractive destination for foreign direct investment? Now, this will be the focus on Weekend 5, the last edition for 2022, with reports from zones plus studio discussion with my guest, Professor Nuh Yakub from VC University of Abuja. And joining us from Kaduna via Zoom is Professor Kabir Matu, Professor of Political Science. I am Jumba Yusuf. Happy New Year in advance. First, the news. Former Pope Benedict XVI has died at the age of 95 after battling ill health. The news of his demise has thrown the world, particularly Catholic faithful, into mourning. Now, Talatu Ezrike compiles the life and times of the late pontiff.
The 16th of April 1927, Pope Benedict, originally known as Joseph Aloysius Ratzinger, was of the German descent. He entered a seminary in 1939, but compelled to join the Hitler Youth in 1941, where he was held a prisoner by the American forces for a brief period. After the war, he continued his education in the seminary and was ordained a priest in June 1951. He grew through the ropes to be appointed Archbishop of Munich and Freising in 1977. Later, he became a pope on April 19, 2005, at the age of 78, as the oldest elected pope since Clement XII. Although late Pope's papacy faced several challenges, his many policies and actions promoted interreligious harmony and peace.
He showed how much love he had for the church and for the world. He traveled around the world as his predecessor had done, and also visited Africa several times, going to Angola and Mozambique. He became a friend of Africa and also a friend of Nigeria.
In the ordinary world, we would say it was a no-nonsense case. The Pope saying you have a responsibility to God to honor your pledge, and that's exactly what we've been onto. Let's walk straight up to ensure that the church remains.
In 2013, he became the first pope to resign since Gregory XII in 1415, based on health ground.
He lived a life of modesty. We hope that leaders in the church and leaders who are political leaders in Africa and in the world would learn from this. This is a lesson that you can say no to power for the good of the people.
He became critically ill on Thursday, and Pope Francis called for prayers for him. He was stable but succumbed to the hands of death on the eve of the new year at the age of 95.
Meanwhile, on behalf of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari has commiserated with Pope Francis, the Catholic Church and Christian faithful around the world as they mourn the passing of Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI. In a statement by his special advisor, Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, the President remembered the selfless leadership of the late Pontiff and his dedication to interfaith dialogue, peace and godly service. He prayed that the Pope Emeritus receives eternal embrace in the loving arms of the Lord, whom he served faithfully throughout his vocation. In another development, President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated Nigerians on the occasion of the New Year 2023. In a message, the President said the New Year provided opportunity to reflect on the outgone year and reposition for the New Year. Being his valedictory New Year message, President Buhari noted that the 2023 general elections creates a chance to choose new leaders. He expressed belief that the nation would remain one indivisible entity, uniquely blessed by God, enjoining citizens to collaborate with government in stamping out those who want to bring down the nation. He said daily victories are being recorded against insurgents across Nigeria, with the return of IDPs to their ancestral homes and more than 82,000 insurgents renouncing terrorism. Also, security roadmap is in place based on building trust, promoting community policing for crime reduction. President Buhari added that Nigeria has been able to weather the global economic crisis despite COVID-19 after effects, providing subsidized energy to reduce inflation. In this regard, jobs are being created amidst sustained fight against corruption, and the President prayed that the next president will also pick up the baton and continue the race to make Nigeria one of the leading countries of the world by the end of this century. Similarly, President of the Senate Ahmed Lawan has congratulated Nigerians on the occasion of the celebration of the New Year 2023. In a message, the President of the Senate said the 9th National Assembly has kept faith with Nigerians and unwavering in implementing its legislative agenda. He urged Nigerians to keep faith with the administration's efforts at building a viral nation. Meanwhile, Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila has greeted Christian faithful and indeed all Nigerians on the New Year celebration. He enjoins citizens to make the most of the year by going to the polls to elect credible people to lead them. Similarly, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, has felicitated with Nigerians as the New Year 2023 is ushered in. The FGF prayed for peace, unity and harmony for fulfillment of national aspirations, and the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has felicitated with Nigerians as they celebrate the New Year. Atiku Abubakar described 2023 as a defining moment for Nigeria, with opportunities for building a united and strong country. On behalf of the PDP, the former vice president urged Nigerians to look forward with hope and faith. Also, presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has saluted Nigerians on the New Year celebration. Tinubu described the period as one for keeping hope alive as the nation elects new leaders to take Nigeria to the promised land. He enjoined citizens to support the electoral process by collecting their PVCs and ensuring they vote. In the same vein, Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Dauda Alibiu, has urged the motoring public to sustain the collective vigilance against road traffic crashes as the nation enters 2023. In his New Year message, the Corps Marshal called for more effort at consolidating the gains of the campaign on safe motoring. The activation of the rail system of transportation is not only increasing passengers' options along the Lagos-Ibadan corridor, but changing the narrative of gridlock synonymous with the highways during the Yuletide. Michael Olale reports that this development is paying off on the roads, with travel time reducing tremendously during the festivity.
Tales of previous traffic woes along the Lagos-Ibadan corridor, especially this time of the year, could be traumatizing. And for travelers like Boluwatife, abandoning the road for the rail is not only due to stress, but unforeseen circumstances like road accidents. This is the second time she's boarding the train, and the past fear on commuting to Ibadan has disappeared.
It has assisted a lot. It saves us from stress and traffic, and it's so convenient and comfortable.
I've been to Abuja 2 times on the train already, and in the last 48 hours, and I'm going to Ibadan today. And ideally, if not for the train, I will be able to make all those trips. Very efficient, very reliable.
With this visible preference for the rail, how much is this influencing the traffic situation on major highways within the corridor, especially during the festive season?
I know that since the train started, I haven't driven myself on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. So if I'm one of many people doing that, I can imagine that the traffic must be greatly eased, and I think they should have more services per day.
The alternative offered by the rail system of transportation is easing the tension usually experienced along major highways like the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. And motorists here say the development is further boosted by the removal of barricades at construction spots.
For here to Ibadan, Ibadan, no problem on the road.
The excitement for now is that whether through the rail or roads, commuters are enjoying the ease while it lasts, hoping that the tension will be manageable once the city returns to its trademark of hustling and bubbling. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
Let's bring you up to speed with other news. The Nigerian Christian Programs Commission has commenced the screening of over 360 intending programs from Delta State for the 2022 pilgrimage to Israel and Jordan. Ngozi Umokwede reports that the exercise will last for 2 days.
These set of pilgrims are here for the necessary prerequisites that will guarantee them to participate in the spiritual exercise to the Holy Land. The aim is to ensure that intending pilgrims are physically and psychologically equipped.
Expect the pilgrims to be in their best behavior. As it appears, this is a time to commune with your God, to pray for the state, to pray for the government, and to pray for the country at large.
We have not recorded any abscondment. Pilgrims have been very well behaved. We are grateful to the government of Delta State that keeps sponsoring pilgrims to the Holy Land.
The purpose of the gathering is to have the intended pilgrims in line with His Excellency's desire to ensure that Christians embark on the holy pilgrimage to the Holy Land in order to pray.
To go there for a spiritual retreat, become a better Christian when I come back, get to see some of the significant features we read in the scripture.
The 368 intending pilgrims are expected to travel to the Holy Land in January 2023. In Asaba, Ngozi Mokwede, NTA News.
An appeal for Nigerians to take advantage of the numerous opportunities embedded in the Presidential Enabling Business Council on Ease of Doing Business in Nigeria was captured in a stage play in Lagos. The literary piece titled "The Future is Here" appreciates the resilience and contribution of entrepreneurs, civil servants and economic drivers towards the delivery of robust business template. Lynn Leneke watched from the audience section and tells us more.
These beats resonate with the strength and resilience demonstrated by Nigerian entrepreneurs as they utilize their potential to stimulate the growth of the nation's economy. The plot of the stage play, titled "The Future is Here," highlights the benefits inherent in simplifying the process of doing business in Nigeria like ABC, especially in a conducive environment where regulations thrive.
This is the message of hope. This is the rebirth. This is like having a new tribe. We all want to change. We all want to do the right thing so that Nigeria can be great.
You see different opportunities, things that have been corrected that people don't know about, information sharing. So those are the lessons that together we can all really make it work and deliver the country of our dreams.
Some of the interventions initiated by the government for teaming Nigerian youths to harness in the business arena, emphasizing the government's readiness to establish sustainable future development.
It means a whole lot because it opens up conversations about the ending corruption in certain places.
With this play, it was my own way of telling the women that you do not have to think that you are the weaker sex or like they put it, but you can be whoever and whatever you can be.
For some of the teething problems confronting operators in the micro, small and medium enterprises, the sterling performance proffered solutions. The Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council was set up in July 2016 to remove bureaucratic constraints to doing business in Nigeria and make the country a progressively easier destination to start and grow a business. In Lagos, Lynn Leneke, NTA News.
Talking agriculture, 49 farmers affected by flood this year have received agricultural inputs as palliatives to cushion the effects of flooding on their businesses. The gesture is at the instance of the International Fund for Agriculture Development, IFAD, in collaboration with the federal government and Ondo State government. Abiola Ario reports.
The farm inputs distributed were 280 bags of starter feed, 280 bags of fish feed, 84 bags of fertilizers, and 5,000-day-old chicks. Akinloye Tinubu, a master's degree holder in geophysics, was among the trained beneficiaries of IFAD Life ND project and empowered with 1,500 fishes. Unfortunately, his fish pond was destroyed by flood in August this year.
I'm a trained fish farmer, so I will continue with the program. Then I will go with it.
Wow, I feel so excited because I wasn't expecting this. So this is just like a bonus, a plus to my farm.
Project coordinator of IFAD in Ondo State, Ademola Olawale, said the donation was aimed at helping the victims of the flood disaster recover from their huge losses.
So IFAD decided to give them support so that the interest that they have developed in the past can still be there.
IFAD thought it necessary that they should be supported so that their business can be sustained.
The State Commissioner for Agriculture and Forestry, Olayato Aribo, urged the beneficiaries to make judicious use of the inputs. The beneficiaries were trained in 4 major areas of poultry, fishery, cassava, and cocoa farming. In Akure, Abiola Rio, NTA News.
Essential Muhammadu Buhari, the 1-hour documentary about President Muhammadu Buhari, his mind, life and philosophy will start showing on TV and YouTube. It's a filmic portrait of the president told in his own words and by some family members, friends and associates. It will be showing on the following TV networks at these times: Nigeria Television Authority NTA, 8 to 9 p.m. Sunday, 1st January. Channels TV, 6 to 7 p.m. Sunday, 1st January 2023. TVC, 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. Sunday, 1st January. Arise TV, 5 to 6 p.m. Monday, 2nd January. Trust TV, 6 to 7 p.m. 2nd January. African Independent Television, AIT. 9 p.m. Sunday, 1st January, and 8 to 9 p.m. 2nd January. Keep a date with us. We'll take a break now. When we return, our conversation will begin. Do stay.
With 4 gigabytes for 1,000 naira, I have non-stop access to non-stop entertainment on YouTube. I miss my bus stop.
Unlimited. Fighting here and there. We don't want it at all. Killing people today tomorrow. We don't want it at all. And we don't want separation. You do your own, I do my own. Make you go. No. We don't want that one. We may quarrel and disagree, but let it be on the table of dialogue. No blood, chaos, war, violence. Let us stand with
people, the silver lining dots the skies. The firmament portents a bright future as the people of Nigeria move to vote a man whom they have come to trust for the realization of their aspirations for a better Nigeria. That man is Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. He has been tested. He can be trusted. Vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as President of Nigeria 2023. Vote Kashim Shettima as Vice President. Vote APC. Surely with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the smiles are returning. We are close to home.
bringing the smiles back to all Nigerians.
My people, my name is Emeka. Emeka scammers. Let me get all this people. I don't learn my lesson. Somebody come buy motor for my hand, carry big money, come give me. Now when the day bust, then my eye open. I know that 419 be. Now when EFCC babam, now they come bab me too. Now he make me they warn you. All of them when they do business like me, where they carry big money, when I go sometimes I go carry transfer, carry bring back. They could shine in my eye because the special control unit against money laundering, when they call school, they don't want to say if the money pass 5 million naira for individual. No collect them. If you pass 10 million naira for company, no collect them. Can I go here? Bank. If you don't do them like that, 250,000 naira for every day where this offense happen. Or they go suspend your license, or they go shut them down. Pata for your hand. You talk say I know one year.
This message is from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. EFCC.
Hey guys, today I'll be talking about something really interesting. I'll be giving you tips on how to survive in this Kappa economy. Hey guys, so I'm back. Guess what? If you run out of airtime or data, dial *777# on your phone line to borrow and pay back later. Easy. Today I'll be handing out the tips. Stay
Unlimited.
You're welcome back. The year 2022 has been dominated by political activities as politicians and political parties are gearing up for the 2023 general elections. Egene Ndulue looks back at some major political activities within the year and their impact on the collective fortune of the nation.
2025-2022, a day destined to reshape Nigeria's political landscape. The pen in the hands of President Buhari finally signing into law
the 2022 Electoral Act. An amendment many believe will bring more transparency in Nigeria's electoral process and deepen the country's democracy. Not so long after this key moment, Clause 84 of the Act became an issue of controversy. The provision says no political appointee at any level shall be a voting delegate or be voted for at the convention or congress of any political party for the purpose of the nomination of candidates for any election. The effect and import of this clause was enormous. Several political appointees had to resign to contest party primaries. Some had to let go of their political ambition to stay on the job. In view of the new Electoral Act, INEC released the timetable for the conduct of the 2023 general election. Deadline for party primaries was fixed for 9th June 2022. Commencement of campaigns billed for 28 September. Presidential and National Assembly election 25th February 2023. While governorship and houses of assembly elections on 11th March 2023.
Any political party that fails to comply with the timelines provided for in the timetable and schedule of activities will not be expected to nominate candidates to the commission for election.
18 political parties are on the INEC register, and party primaries have seen the emergence of 18 presidential candidates. The new INEC guideline, which introduced the use of bimodal voter accreditation system (BVAS) and electronic transmission of results, was designed to check election irregularities, and Osun and Ekiti governorship elections offered good testing grounds. The general election is now 2 months away, with INEC set to deliver on its schedule for the double header. Earlier, the signing of the peace accord by the 18 political parties on the 29th September 2022 had signaled the commencement of a rigorous campaign season. However, this accord has not stopped attacks on politicians, campaign trains and INEC offices. With the clock ticking, the intensity of the campaigns with the station of the polls. Many say it is a race to the finish, and only time will tell who will emerge from the polls with the garland. Ekene Ndulue, NTA News.
We shall be having a conversation on the emerging opportunities in the political and economic sense in 2023. And my guest, Professor Noor Yakub, former Vice Chancellor, University of Abuja, is seated here in the studio. You're welcome to Weekend File.
Thank you so very much.
Also joining me via Zoom from Kaduna is Professor Kabir Mato, Professor of Political Science. Good evening and welcome to Weekend File.
Good evening, Juma. Good evening, Prof. Good evening, Nigerians.
Evening, and let me begin with you, Kabir Mato. We're talking about events that shaped 2022. Let's have your perspective of these events and your expectation for 2023.
Well, thank you very much. I think 2023, what will come out of it is greatly dependent on the immediate political activities that have taken place in 2022. And as it was rightly captured in your story, one of the most exciting, political events that took place
we seem to be having a problem with the Zoom network, but I believe when it gets better, we'll return to him. Let me come back to the studio where Professor Noor Yakub is seated. Let me also have your perspective, on the events that shaped, the political scene and the economic scene in Nigeria in 2022 and your expectations for 2023.
Well, I think the events that have actually shaped, especially 2022, included, the fact that the parties were able to hold their primaries, and the primaries were largely very successful.
because they have produced presidential candidates and candidates for gubernatorial elections and so on, what have you. And I also think that, because of the success of this, it has also triggered of, expectations that, things will move in the right direction. For instance, we have had campaigns going on, without the primaries successfully concluded. It can be impossible to start that. And it started on a very favorable note, in the sense that the contestants or the parties involved, follows very rigidly the timetable, provided by INEC. Nobody jumped the gun. Everybody waited until the time to embark on the campaigns. And so far, the campaigns are going on, very well, except of course from a political science, perspective. I don't think issues are being discussed. Rather, we have quite a number of, character assassinations, personal attacks. And
we're talking about issue-based campaign here.
Yeah, we simply haven't gotten issue-based campaigns, and I'm worried about that because, what the Nigerian people expect the least is to actually come up with an agenda. And so what is going to make their lives much better than what it has been in the past, or with the current, let me put it, with the current dispensation.
Okay.
In other words, we have, inflation, we have a problem of insecurity, we also have kidnapping and all manner of societal ills. These are the
multiplication of issues.
Yes, these are issues that will need to be considered or looked at very seriously. And political parties, especially, since our political parties are not new organs that just came up. They have, contested elections, severally. And they have also known what exactly, are the issues at the point of contesting those elections. If, for instance, they have come to the conclusion that certain things have not been done properly, one would expect that they now also focus their attention on such issues that are still bedeviling the Nigerian people.
Okay, we'll get back to you to comment on other issues. Let's now bring back Professor Kabir Mato. I hope you got my first question. Can you talk about that?
Yes, what I'm simply saying is that one of the spectacular political events that took place in 2022 was the decision by the president to sign the electoral law as was passed by the National Assembly, which technically excluded all, appointed officials and even elected officials from serving as delegates. And the attempt by the legislature to return to the president seeking amendment to that particular, part of the law which they inadvertently passed without perhaps understanding the real implication of it. In my view, that was one of the major political landmarks of the year 2022. And of course, the second and very important issue also has to do with the way the Independent National Elections Commission, structured, the party primaries, or like what we have seen since 1999, whereby the party primaries are concluded towards the end of the preceding year, so that elections are hotly, or campaigns are hotly contested a month or two to the actual election. This time around, party primaries were conducted long time and therefore provided ample opportunity for candidates to go around, and also by implication reduce the the possibilities of the absolute monetization of the electoral process. Unless, of course, if the political class is being clever by waiting for 2022, after having emerged many months ago, waiting for 2023 January to begin to dish in the material cash that will go around the economy. But then again, the decision by Central Bank of Nigeria to limit or restrict withdrawals from January 15th, in my view, it's another very important step that will most likely work towards checking what Nigerians are apparently complaining about today, which is the monetization of the electoral process through what they call vote buying. So
I think if I'm coming in there, we are looking at a Hydra-headed political campaign for the first time in the history of Nigeria. The PDP, APC, and the LP and other parties. How do you think it will play out with, like I said earlier in my intro, a 13%? Younger generation, first-time voters, and we're looking at a generational change now.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, from my little experience in previous political analysis, professor of comparative politics for that matter, I will say it still remains a two-horse race even in 2023. Yes, I know that Labour Party has a candidate that is raising doors, as well as the New Nigerian People's Party, and so on and so forth. But technically, as far as I see it, 2023 is really a two-horse race. It's between the APC, which is the incumbent political party, and the People's Democratic Party that is challenging it. And one of the interesting things about politics is that inasmuch as incumbency is a huge advantage, it is also a very colossal disadvantage, because the opposition stands at a higher pedestal, looking at whatever you are doing in government, analyzing it, for the purpose of securing, electoral victory eventually. And that's precisely what Professor Yakub was saying when he said his concern this time around is that we do not hear politicians talking about issues. Nigeria is bedeviled by, fundamental contradictions from every sector of our life, and what perhaps the citizenry will expect more from the leading contestants or candidates in the political parties is how we are going to address these obvious challenges that we are facing. Yes, there are obvious national questions, and I also do believe that national question is an unending question. It will never have an answer. The moment you try to address some portions, new ones are open. But all in all, I think the politicians in the last lap of this campaign will have to really address the real issues that are facing Nigerians and begin to tell people what they intend to do in the event that they are victorious at the various levels of the electoral contest come 2023. But by and large, I think in my humble understanding of the evolution of Nigerian political scenery, I will say that we are making progress, and especially within the electoral process, when INEC is continuously unraveling one form of protection against electoral fraud or the other. So I think we are going there. We are not yet there, and we will not be there in 2023. But I do believe sincerely that if we keep making progress incrementally, by the next 2-3 elections, Nigerians would, go to sleep very, comfortably by the time they come.
Okay, on that note, Professor Mato, we'll come back to you to talk about other issues, but we'll take a break now. When we return, our conversation will continue. Don't go away.
Recharge. No data, no wahala. Buy, share, gift, and manage your data on star 777 hash and enjoy amazing rewards and so much more. Dial star 777 hash.
Glow Unlimited.
Does your toothpaste give you complete fresh protection? New Close-Up Toothpaste Complete Fresh Protection takes care of your 5 important oral care needs. It gives you strong teeth, prevents tooth holes, cleans deeply, fights bacteria, and gives you fresh breath. Complete fresh protection from Close-Up.
Come to the National Center for Women Development, a home away from home. With our beautifully renovated hotel, the center can also boast of a 1,700-seater auditorium for conferences. The edifice has an African, continental, and Arabian restaurants, a daycare crèche for nursing mothers. There is also an ICT department for computer training, and also a training department for catering, tailoring, and hairdressing. For more information, please contact the National Center for Women Development, the Balear Way, opposite the Central Bank of Nigeria's CBN headquarters, Central District Area, Abuja, or telephone 070-511-1163. National Center for Women Development, rebranding, restructuring, and repositioning.
A body has been found, possibly a child. I think I have something.
I think it's the ritual murder.
Stop!
Hold on, that's the council here. So what do we know about this so-called senior court members?
It appears their real strength lies in the members now in governance, judiciary, business, and the police.
Now this is getting interesting.
The Mberi dynasty of Nzeneri Imowere, Isunjaba of Isu local government area of Imo State, announces the funeral program of their matriarch Mberi Ni Obiefule as follows. Tuesday, 3rd January 2023, Christian wake and service of songs at Mberi's compound in Nzeneri Imowere, Imo State by 6 p.m. Wednesday, 4th January, body leaves the Federal Medical Center, FMC Owerri Mortuary to her hometown in Nzeneri Imowere, Isunjaba by 6 a.m. Requiem Mass, St. Joseph's Catholic Church, Isunjaba by 10 a.m. Interment, Mberi Family Compound. Reception follows immediately at National Primary School, Imowere, Isunjaba. Sunday, 8th January, Thanksgiving service at Sacred Heart Catholic Church, Imowere, Isunjaba by 10 a.m. He is survived by Mazi Geoffrey Mberi, son, Dr. Maurice Mberi, son, Permanent Secretary, General Service Office, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mrs. Rosetta Ihezwo, daughter, Marcelinus Okichukwu Mberi, son, Mrs. Chinyere Ibuchukwu, daughter, Mr. Victor Anayo Mberi, son, brothers and sister, in-laws, friends and sympathizers. Announcer Mazi Geoffrey Mberi for the family.
Yeah, welcome back. It's been a very challenging year for both fiscal and monetary authorities globally as recovery efforts were thwarted by the war between Russia and Ukraine. Leah Katun Babatunde in this report takes a look at how the Nigerian economy fared in the year 2022.
It was a beautiful beginning. Projections were positively framed from the federal government to the Central Bank of Nigeria, Africa Development Bank, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund. Everything pointed to a great recovery run, but then Russia happened. Supply chain disruptions again occurred to whittle down the modest recovery from a COVID-induced global slowdown. It was a tough year for policymakers as the home front faced security concerns in the farming regions, oil theft along with slow output capacities and reduced income from the sector, as well as floods that left massive destructions across 3/4 of the states of the Federation. Insurance penetration is still not optimal to cover for the losses, while petrol subsidies depleted a large chunk of the nation's revenues. The non-oil sector is the largest contributor to the nation's GDP, but oil revenue still remains king.
We have within our plans targets to cut down on leakages and enhance the use of automation. We have got a very substantial compliance to moving the payroll of agencies of government on the IPPS. All those things help to cut down on leakages that we used to have.
Nigeria's debt stock during the year rose to 44.06 trillion naira in the third quarter of 2022.
We saw other countries with a debt to GDP ratio of over 100%. Ours is 23, yet our debt service to revenue is much higher than their own and higher than countries you would call your peer group.
Inflation numbers rose for 10 straight months, driven primarily by rising food prices, setting 17-year record at 3.47% in November.
It is not about the money you receive. It is about how you spend your money and where you spend your money.
In response to the indices and growth concerns, the Central Bank of Nigeria came up with multiple policies and injected funds into the real sector to stimulate growth, create jobs, and tame inflationary trends. A record 4 times did the CBN raise the benchmark policy rate in the course of the year and redesigned the top 3 denominations of the nation's currency for the first time in 2 decades.
If you want to see the success in reining in inflation, you have to try as much as possible to raise your rates to a level that is equal or possibly even higher than inflation, so that your inflation rate must lag your policy rate.
Growth has slowed to 3.11, 3.54, and 2.25% in the first, second, and third quarter of 2022. Revenue generation hovers around 9% of GDP. Over 40% of the 2023 budget is expected to be financed by debt. Ahead of the new year, the World Bank and IMF have told Nigeria to do away with subsidies and rechannel the resources to the poor. Both chambers of the National Assembly have passed the 2023 budget along with the 2022 supplementary budget. It is an election year, and President Muhammadu Buhari insists he will leave the economy better than he met it. Lekatung Babatunde, NTA News.
Welcome back. And now that this central role has been expressed in the year 2022, this is what correspondent Benny Adams seeks to unravel in this report as business and economic players take positions against 2023. This report will come in after we resume our discussion, and my guest, Professor Nuru Yaku, former Vice Chancellor of University of Abuja, and Professor Kabir Matu, who is joining us from Kaduna. They're still here. And let me bring you in. We just heard a report on the economy and how Nigeria has fared so far. And as the fastest growing economy in Africa, what are the possibilities of investment opportunities now that the Europe itself is beaming the searchlights away from Russia? Will we be an attractive investment destination?
Well, I don't know what leads to the conclusion that we have the fastest growing economy.
According to economic experts in Africa,
but even the GDP figures that were just been shown clearly indicate that
45.3. That's a good one.
2.5. I mean, that's not
2.5.
I mean, we actually performed better than that, within
the first quarter.
Not even in the first quarter. I'm talking of even, if you take the range from 1999 to date. I mean, there was a time the Nigerian economy was about 7.9 and so on. I think that there are problems, and these problems have actually, escalated as a result of the poor performance of the economy.
And the COVID-19, pandemic too.
That is
coming out of recession at the same time.
And also the fact that priorities have not been given to areas that should be the concern of government. I just wonder why, for instance, in the education sector, for instance, Nigeria is still having a large, about 20 million school age children that are not going to school, and it's a serious problem. I mean, how do you actually address the problem of economic downturn without giving consideration to education sector? And this also dovetails into the argument about what we witnessed during the ASU strike. Why should that strike have lasted?
So what's the way out now, in your opinion?
The way out is actually to, as the report, just indicated, the non-oil oil sector of the Nigerian economy is performing very well. Why don't we devote attention to agriculture? Why don't we look also at the issue of the health situation of Nigerians? These are, particularly agriculture. If you can,
but agriculture is receiving serious attention as a huge contributor from the private sector to the economy.
Yeah, but the thing is that I think we are still approaching agriculture from the point of view of subsistence farming. That's the problem that we're having. Agriculture is a huge business globally, and I think that government that is very serious should actually address itself to agricultural development. How do we increase the contribution of agriculture?
I think that would be a huge responsibility for the incoming government.
Of course, that's what I was actually making reference to earlier. That the politicians should concentrate on what are the drawbacks in the Nigerian socio-economic platform, and come up with issues that will address this.
Okay, let's bring in Professor Kabir Matu. Let's hear it.
Yes, I think I share a lot of the sentiments as expressed by Professor Yakub on, the crisis facing the Nigerian economy. I also do agree very fervently that, substantial investment as far as federal and state governments are concerned have been done in the area of agriculture. But then, of course, there are a lot of lapses that the new government will have to learn from. One of the things that perhaps the Anko Borrower program did was to be able to throw money at problems without really coming up with effective and efficient methodologies on how to deploy these, resources into the agricultural sector. And that's why the rate of return as far as that program is concerned is really very negative, because a lot of loopholes have been created, people exploited, the value chain from the central bank to Bank of Agriculture to, several other, to the anchors themselves, off-takers and so on and so on. So a lot of problems do exist in that particular area. And if you want to get agriculture correctly, it's important that government must have to reasonably take a very holistic look at the agricultural sector and identify the problems, that have been, that have inflicted the huge investment that has been made in the last 7.5 years by this government.
Okay, Professor Mato. Now, what are the emerging, possibilities in the political and economic sphere?
Well, the emerging possibilities really is that we really need to get things right. One of the major items on the news tonight was the issue of rail transportation. I think government has to agree with the fact that there is no nation that can make any substantial economic, political, and social progress without an efficient rail transportation system. And we've been playing about with that. Government has to invest more in that area, with a view to, help generate activity within the economy. That's one area. And then the second area is that we also have to, look at the agricultural sector once again, with a view to, blocking all those loopholes that have been identified in an attempt, to improve the sector.
Okay, Professor Kabir Mato, we are running out of time here. He's my guest in Kaduna. He joined us via Zoom. Professor Kabir Mato, Professor of Political Science. Thank you so much for coming on Weekend File. Back here in the studio, let me have your last words in 30 seconds, Professor Yakub. What are the possibilities and opportunities abound in 2023 to consolidate?
I think Nigeria is considered to be a very a country that is lucky naturally. I mean, we have the resources, the weather is okay, we have the people,
we have the manpower.
We have the manpower. What is actually the issue is, to what extent can government policies dovetail with what I call transparency and accountability?
So what should we do now?
What we need to do is, the Buhari administration came with, the agenda of tackling corruption. And it appears to me as if the thing has actually snowballed
to a hydra-headed,
phenomenon. Yeah. And this is what we need to do. I mean, when people have been proved, it has been proved that people are corrupt.
So what are the positives in 2023?
The positives are there. I mean, the positives are that I'm hoping that, there will be a very smooth transition. If we get it.
Every Nigeria prays for that.
Yeah, if we get it, it is very likely that, as Professor Kabir has said earlier, it is still a true pronged competition between APC and PDP. Yeah, I know, but the point is this, that let us hope that we can actually get smooth transition, and the two major parties that are contested among the four, this election, they'll be able to actually come up with agenda that will help us, achieve our.
Professor Yakub, former Vice Chancellor.
To achieve, our ambitions.
Okay, Professor Yakub, former Vice Chancellor, University of Abuja, thank you so much for your insight into this conversation. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Now, moving forward, the joint collaborative onslaught by the NNPC Limited, Tatina Security Services Limited, and security agencies intercepted a barge and truck with stolen crude oil in Warri, Delta State. Lydia Sampson reports that about 300,000 liters of crude oil and 210,000 liters of diesel found on board of the barge.
The long flat bottom boat, also known as barge, codenamed Briefing, was was discovered to be unregistered and undocumented with the appropriate authorities. The barge was intercepted alongside with a large wooden canoe for conveying illegally refined AGU as well as a locally built wooden tug.
Just at the tip of border town between Delta State and Bayelsa State near the Trans-Ramos pipeline. Good. So they got a locally made tug to push them deep into the bush where they loaded AGU legally refined and at the same time got their pipelines to take crude.
4 suspects were arrested on board the barge.
They came to meet me that I need to go to buy foodstuffs. So Namaga sent me a message. Christopher, I sent me say make I tell the barge for now walk about the diesel barge and the crude oil.
This is where illegal crude oil is being siphoned, and they have a lot of processes. The tank where it is refined and sold it as diesel to unsuspecting users at the petrol station outside. From the outside, when you see the petrol station, it's difficult to even assume the magnitude of what is happening within from here. The second discovery is an unregistered truck loaded with crude oil apprehended in the early hours of December 10, 2022, discharging its illegal content into the underground storage tanks of a filling station located opposite Asjam Hotel, Opete, Warri.
We've placed our eyes on a lot of fuel stations around this town and other places because we know that these are part of the problems we have.
Personnel of the Nigerian Army 3rd Battalion in Warri had secured the location and the trucks used for the operation. Meanwhile, the petrol station was demolished to serve as a deterrent to crude oil thieves and illegal refineries. The private security contractor had arrested another 4 male suspects in connection with the discovery and recovered 2 fuel pumping machines used for the operation. The IGP task force on pipeline vandalism attached to the PPMC depot in Warri had accused the petrol station of similar incident in 2019. From Warri, Delta State, Lydia Sams, NTA News.
It's a bleak end year for some residents of Elakahia in Port Harcourt when an early morning fire gutted an entire compound and surrounding buildings, Senagbambe reports.
The fire outbreak, attributed to domestic gas explosion, left about 80 people homeless in the 25-room housing located in the heart of Elakahia community. Property worth millions of naira was reportedly lost in the fire, which also affected adjoining housing in the inferno that lasted about 1 hour. Recounting their ordeal in the aftermath of the incident, some of the erstwhile tenants of the housing said they were taken unawares and could not salvage anything.
Fire come out from the block outside and down for battle. We can't pick anything because in the heat of the fire everywhere. No way. All of us cry.
The fire service people that want to enter because of the light. Lucky to us there's no light. So as it was pushing the light up, then the tanker driver, the man now from up, pinned his head for ground. Nearly.
Couldn't bring anything. Me and my 4 children, we just run out. Nothing.
Other victims said even the little they could bring out of the inferno were stolen in the chaos, as unknown persons also broke into the rooms and stole items and cash. Quite pathetic is the case of a young man who reportedly traveled last Friday and is unaware of the fire incident, which consumed all he had. His colleagues are apprehensive of letting him know.
That boy don't even have anybody, nobody in this Port Harcourt. No father, no mother, no brothers, only him. So that's why the thing is just like a shock to me.
The former residents of 29 of Ibe Street, Elakahia, who are now sitting helplessly in front of the burnt-down compound, are calling for help from government and public-spirited persons to be able to feed for the next few days before they can decide on the next step to take.
The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was in London during the week before proceeding to Saudi Arabia to observe Umrah Lesser Hajj, as it has been his tradition every year. The APC presidential candidate, however, noted some reports in Nigeria alleging a secret meeting held between him and the G5 governors who are members of the People's Democratic Party. Asiwaju Tinubu, in a statement, says he neither bothered by such reports nor the sponsors who are well known but resolutely focused on his campaign objectives, which are geared towards achieving victory in the upcoming presidential election in order to deliver the APC action plan aimed at giving a renewed hope to our people, to Nigerians in all facets of their lives. And that's Weekend File, the last edition for 2022. Thank you so much for your time. I am Jumba Yusuf. Before we go, don't forget to join NTA in the fight against rapists. And Happy New Year in advance.